differently abled, differently.
Welcome back, and you're watching Abled Differently. Joseph Owino has always focused on finding solutions rather than wallow in self-pity. For him, one's surroundings can either impact on someone positively or negatively. Take a look.
The environment makes a larger percentage of our ultimate results. In an interview with Joseph Owino, the chairperson for disability students at the Mount Kenya University, his attributes highly backed up this statement.
The environment is what has built me, because getting into Mount Kenya University, I never envisioned that I'll get into this domain as I alluded earlier. And it's because of the environment and the people that I correlate with. They push me, like, you now must do this. And another aspect that has built me, especially in terms of leadership, is mentorship and having reputable people, to guide you along the way. And it's something that has built me. And to that aspect, linking up with organizations, one of them, Gifted Community Center, that has brought me here, is one of the organizations that are also built me up to ensure that at least I can come up as a leader in different angles or different aspects. That at least the issues about leadership and coming in to champion for the issues of inclusion of persons with disabilities, like we can work it up to the core.
Despite the disability, it can't limit you both spiritually and physically.
It's the vision that counts, not about the disability. And my clarion call to different players, especially to this point, is the parents, because they carry a lot in terms of the development of these persons, especially when they are of underage, and they are still children. And because it's from our home setups, that at least we get to build or identify, how to work out and support these persons, engaging with the youth and the students, getting to be part of the Transforming Education Summit. Hastening the voice of inclusion, especially in our education institutions, because that is what has propelled me to this point, because at least we want to see that we churn out inclusion from an educational point of view, because this is where everybody comes from. These are where political, those who will be in political leadership comes from, those who will be in the civil space comes from, and all other players. And so, from an educational setup, we ensure that at least that the point of disability awareness comes from this.
It really doesn't matter who you are, because everyone has the ability to do something amazing. Great achievements, therefore, come in many forms, and Joseph has a number on his list.
Stephen Hawking says very well, and that my advice to other persons with disabilities is do that which your disability doesn't hinder you from doing, and don't interfere with that it interferes with. You can't be disabled both in spirit and physically. It depends with one is your inner spirit. Who are you, and where do you want to go? Because it's upon your individual perspective to debunk that myth that I'm disabled.
Asked of his views on persons with disabilities representation in government, he had this to say.
It's about following up the policies that we have. If I can tell you, as a country, we have the best policies, even in terms of disability inclusion. Kenya, or the Kenyan Parliament has ratified, the protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights and the Rights of Persons with Disabilities in Africa. That is an international, charter, as well as the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. You find that these are international treaties that must affect our constitution, must affect our policies, must affect our legislation. But now the problem is the goodwill that come with different players. Especially with the issues of education. I was part of the Transforming Education Summit engagement. The first was the National Youth Consultation. Then the second one was the National Validation Conference. But you get the challenge that the issues about reasonable accommodation to enhance the participation and engagement of persons with disabilities in educational institutions is still a big problem, and it's still a marriage, because issues about accessibility. However much you may think it's minute, this is the very biggest thing in the disability arena, accessibility, because this will ensure that at least your movement from point A to point B is well taken care of.
Persons with disabilities are more likely to experience adverse socioeconomic outcomes, such as less education, lower levels of employment, and higher poverty rates. Hence, the need for inclusion and diversity.
Inclusion in its entirety begins from social levels and from families growing up to the ladder. And so, when we ensure that even in our devolved structures, we don't just wait for the nominated MPs and senators, because when the voices are heard in their devolved structures, because I don't know what person with disability is facing, like Kipia County, what person with disability facing in Nyandarua, but when they have their representative from that side, at least it helps, bolster the issues of inclusion and the issues affecting persons with disabilities in that setting. And at least when we ensure that there is that full representation, and now they get to engage with persons with disabilities from different settings. We have the organizations for persons with disabilities, the OPDs. We have, the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. We have different players, in different, spectrum in education, in the issues health, so that when they get to, the legislative houses, they ensure that the policies surrounding disability inclusion, because, disability can't stand on its own. Disability must just be, be inclusified in these engagements. When we have laws in touching health, touching transport, and all the laws that are there.
Let's take a look at the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Article 25 of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities states that state parties shall, Part B, provide those health services needed by persons with disabilities, specifically because of their disabilities, including early identification and intervention as appropriate, and services designed to minimize and prevent further disabilities, including among children and older persons.
And here is the tip for the day.
We want to reach out to young girls with disability to take up leadership, not only political leadership, and to demystify that as a person with disability, or as a woman or a girl with disability, your entry point to leadership is a nomination seat. So we have only 2 seats in every county assembly, but we have so many girls and women who are leaders in their own capacity.
Keep it KBC Channel 1 for more empowering episodes of A Bold Differently. My name is Jane Theuri, and until next time, keep breaking down barriers and unleashing the extraordinary.
We are here and we are strong. Let's be counted as we move on. Make a difference, change lives as we tell our different stories. We are capable, beautiful, we are born to do great things. We're unstoppable, incredible, 'cause we're differently abled, differently.